Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the March 6, 2025 meeting of Community Board 11, Environment, Open Space and Parks Committee. My name is Rosa Diaz. I am the chair of this committee. This meeting is called to order at 6:36 p.m. Tonight, we are joined by Khalid Nixon, the staff liaison to our committee. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few ground rules. No one may speak until granted the floor. Community Board 11 members. If you have any questions about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. To raise your hand through Zoom, click the participants icon and you will find the raise hand function there. Members should not engage in a back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize the next person to speak. Please keep your questions and comments brief and on topic to the discussion. Members of the public, if you have any questions, bless you, or comments about the subjects on the agenda, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Thank you so much, Khalid. Roll call.
Okay. Our committee members, 8 members on this committee in total, 5 needed for quorum. Rosa Diaz,
Present.
Connie Lee,
Present.
Malik McCullough, Samantha Pedretto.
Present.
Present, thank you. Debbie Quinones, Russell Schuler,
Present.
Elida Chikambun, and Michelle Clement requests to not be here today. So you have 4 present. You need 1 more chair.
Thank you. Because we don't have a quorum, we will wait another 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
The minimum, at least I remember from what the board suggested, was a 10 to 15-minute recess. It's at your discretion.
We'll wait 10 minutes and see. We'll wait till 6:48 p.m. Hopefully, our board members are running to come into the meeting. Thank you.
So once recess, so just pause recording.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Welcome again. We are going to do a roll call. Thank you, Khalid.
Rosa Diaz,
Present.
Connie Lee,
Present.
Malik McCullough,
Present.
Samantha Pedretto,
Present.
Russell Schuler,
Present.
Elida Chikambun, and Michelle Clement. You have 5 members present, Chair.
Awesome. Thank you so much. With that being said, the adoption of the March, what am I talking about? I apologize. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board's office and was posted online. If there are no objections, we will adopt the agenda as stated. Committee members, if you object to adopting the agenda, you may raise your hand. Seeing no objection, the agenda is adopted. Adoption of the meeting minutes. The minutes were distributed. Sorry. The minutes from last meeting were distributed to the committee members. I'm sorry, I'm trying to rush. Ahead of time by the board office. If there's any objection, please let us know. Oh my goodness.
No, my name is misspelled because my last name doesn't have a C in it.
With that amendment, does anyone else have any objection or amendments?
I'm changing that right now.
Thank you so much. The minutes are adopted.
You know what,
Okay.
Probably correct, auto correct next nonsense. All right.
No problemation, it happens to me too. And now we're going to announcements.
The land use committee for this board, they were having a presentation by the Metropolitan Museum of Art regarding its proposed tangling for modern and contemporary art project next week, March 12th, starting at 6:30 p.m. So it'd be helpful if some committee members from here could go and maybe offer a little bit of advice or just to sit in. Angel had just made that request and feel free to attend, send the information.
Could we just,
Yeah.
could we just,
You can just,
Zoom?
yeah, you can just Zoom attend and,
Okay.
yeah, and say, you're part of the committee and hear your thoughts on, from the environment, open space and parks aspect, if you guys would like.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And now we're going to city agency appointments. See Matt.
Do we have anybody from Parks that's available to give us informational updates?
Yes. Hi, good evening, everyone. I can go first. Good to see you all. So the Jackie Robinson Day Festival is April 12th from 12 to 4 this year. This year we're going to focus on the sports that Jackie received letters for, and those were 4 sports. It's baseball, basketball, track and field, and football. So this is going to be in the park from 150th Street all the way down to 155th. There's a volunteer portion that's from 10 to 12, and that's going to be helping us spread some mulch at 152nd in the garden spaces and behind the benches. Looking to hear from Community Board 11 about who's going to come table. I see Rosa raising her hand, so awesome, awesome. Okay, can I take that as a confirmation you'll be there?
I'll be
Okay.
there.
Okay, awesome, great.
Everyone is welcome.
Yes, it's a great event. At the band shell, there's community tabling activities, but we'll also have some live music there. And also, we're closing down one of or half of the street at 152nd. So that's going to be track and field as well as a DJ. So please come out, spread the news, and also there will be an ad banner on Marcus Garvey for Jackie Robinson Day Festival in the coming weeks. Also, wanted to let you know we're currently holding qualifying tests for lifeguards until March 16th. To qualify, you must be at least 16 years of age by the start of employment, have at least 20/30 vision in one eye and 20/40 in the other without corrective lens. Glasses and contact lens may not be worn during the eye exam. Be able to swim 50 yards in 50 seconds or less with proper form. Lifeguards are getting paid $22 per hour, and it offers a $1,000 retention bonus for returning lifeguards, and it also includes free swim prep programs. Summer camp registration is also open. Our summer camp runs from Monday, July 7th to Friday, August 22nd, 2025. Registration is done by lottery and open from this past Monday, March 3rd to Saturday, March 22nd. Register. I'll share the link for the registration online. The New York City Parks Summer Camp program is an exciting chance for children ages 6 to 13 to have a fun-filled summer. Campers engage in sports, fitness, and outdoor adventures while taking part in many of New York City's rich cultural and educational opportunities. Our Marcus Garvey Park Alliance group has a community survey to fill out. Please do so. I can share the link in the chat, but also please share with other park patrons. There are no deadlines, but if you would like to enter for the chance to receive a $100 Amazon gift card, please fill it out by March 14th. Please fill out the survey and help spread it far and wide. I'm so glad that the Alliance has done this because we can get feedback on what sort of improvements the park needs. So I haven't seen any other of my groups do this, so please help support the effort and fill out the survey. As you all are aware, the Marcus Garvey has been nominated to the National Registry of Historic Places. Khalil, I talked to you about this. I'm not sure if we could get a letter of support for its registration into the National Registry of Historic Places. They're doing a presentation in Albany on March 12th. I'm happy to share that Zoom link as well, but I'll need some time to get that. And lastly, Marcus Garvey Park is in the last leg of construction. The contractors have until spring to complete all the work, but this coming Monday, they will be closing the entrance that abuts the dog run on 120th Street. Patrons will still have access to the dog run via 121st and Madison Avenue. And I sent a photo which shows in red where they're closing off. So the community board has it, but I've also sent it via email. And lastly, the Recreation Center in Marcus Garvey has a few upcoming events. On March 21st, they're having a tea party celebrating Women's History Month from 5 to 7:30 p.m. And then on March 27th, there's a brush and chill paint night from 5. Oh, that's a Jackie Robinson. Well, anyway, close by. 5 to 8 p.m. at Jackie Robinson Rec Center. And that's it for me. Are there any questions? Oh, I forgot to mention. So the dog run entrances, we're estimating about 2 weeks that entrance will be closed. The rest of it around the barbecue area will be closed longer, but we're trying to reopen that dog run entrance within 2 weeks, but it is weather dependent. Weather dependent meaning no rain and above 40 degrees in the next 2 weeks.
Board members, any questions? No.
What's the date again for the Jackie Robinson Day? The
April
12th,
12th.
April.
And we all gonna go.
It'll be good to see you all, yes. And there's it's a family fun day, so lots of different activities for all ages. There's even pickleball. I forgot to mention pickleball.
I was there last year and you took pictures with the Mets.
Mr. and Mrs. Met were there last year, yes.
Yeah. Okay, no questions. Thank you so much. See you soon.
See you soon.
All right. Good evening. So I've got some other updates for New York City Parks, and I will put a link in the chat for both of these events. We are hosting a job fair on March 15th this upcoming week from 11 to 4 at Highbridge. This will include employers from New York City Parks and other city agencies. So people who are seeking jobs can come and see what opportunities are available with the city. And like I said, I'll put a link in the chat for that. And then also at Thomas Jefferson Recreation Center, they'll be hosting a 5K fun race. And they'll be running through Harlem from 112th and 1st Ave down to East River and back. That will be March 15th from 10 to 2. And then also, and that event is free and open to the public. And then for members of rec centers, Thomas Jefferson is also hosting some pool tournaments on Friday and Saturday evenings for the month of March. On Saturday, it'll be from 11 to 2, and on Fridays, it's from 1 to 4. And then I also wanted to introduce to you guys Corey Shaw, who's on our meeting tonight. He is the replacement for Dave Williams as our borough makes some operational and staffing changes with resources across the sector and District 11. So we're happy to have him aboard. He can introduce himself. And then if you guys have any questions for us, we'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Matt. I remember you also spoke last month of the job fair. Is there like any flyer by any chance? I didn't get any flyer.
I'll post a link for the online information, and then we do have a flyer that I can send over to you guys.
Yeah, please send me the flyer because it's easier for me to send a flyer without me explaining what the link is.
Yes, I will send it over.
Thank you so much, Mark. Does anyone have any question?
I didn't write down the date and place for that event that you were excited about and said you would table for.
Yes,
Because I'm wondering if we can do some tabling. We have
Yeah.
a lot to report.
yes, we will.
And
April 12th, April
and where
12th.
is it?
It's at the Jackie Robinson park,
Jackie
which
Robinson
is
Band Shell, 148th Street and Bradhurst.
You will send the information and I will send it to you, Joyce. I have it, I have the information.
And what is the event called?
What is the event called, Tabashi?
It's the 4th annual Jackie Robinson Day Festival. It's in collaboration with citywide special events. So you remember when they used to have summer jam and winter thing? That's this group is doing this at Jackie Robinson. So we're in our 4th year of the annual event.
And they have jazz dancing and everything, so it's very exciting. I love it.
Sounds great. So April 12th or 13th?
April 12th, from 12 to 4,
Consider
yes.
one.
Don't worry, I'll send you the
Thank
information.
you.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Tabashi. Now we can introduce
Corey.
Corey. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Corey Shaw, the district manager for District 10 and 11. Just wanted to stop in and say hello. I'm still learning the district, been with Parks for a very long time, been a district manager for a while as well. And yep, just wanted to say hello to everyone.
Thank you, Corey. Nice to meet you.
Could you provide your contact information for us, please?
I'll
Mrs.
definitely
Russell
put
Shoes.
I'll definitely put it in the chat.
Okay, then. Okay.
Thank you. Do we have anyone from Parks, Randall's Island, if you? I thought so.
So we go for parks, then sanitation, then environmental protection. Reynolds Islands is parks advocacy.
Do we have anyone from Department of Sanitation? Okay, do we have anyone from the Department of Environmental Protection? Okay, do we have anyone from Parks Advocacy Groups?
I guess this is where I jump in for Randall's Island.
Yes.
All right. Good afternoon. My name is Pete Hunter. I'm the Chief of Operations for Randall's Island. Dave Salinar couldn't make it tonight, so I'm covering for him. I'll start off with obviously the spring season's here. Softball and baseball fields are going to be opening on March 17th. Grass soccer fields will be opening on April 1st. Obviously, the staff's out there hard working right now, trying to get everything ready. They're making great progress. Icon Stadium, they're doing the same, getting the track ready for events. And as everybody knows, from that point on, it's basically, every single day, up to about May or June. Public programming on March 8th at 9:30 a.m. There's the Bridges of Randall's Island bike tour. There's also volunteer opportunities on Sundays at the Urban Farm with Team Rivers cleaning up the waterfront. More details can be found on our website. Khalid, I believe Anna or Chris have already reached out to you, but I think at the next CB11 meeting, they'll be going into a more in-depth conversation about our programming at the park. They're looking forward to doing that and letting everybody know what we have and what we can provide for the community. If you've been on the FDR or even on the island, and my daughter just walked into the room. You'll most likely have seen the big white and blue tent. That is the Cirque du Soleil tent, obviously. Their first show was a dress rehearsal on March 5th. First paid show was yesterday, tonight's a premiere. And then they'll be doing shows once, twice, sometimes 3 times a day throughout the week up until April 27th. And then they'll be off the site. Down on the south side of the island, the Herc facility is actually now wrapping up. They're in the process of breaking down the tent facility. We know we had some issues with people living on the south side of the island, mainly along the waterfront. Those areas have also been clear. Ever since the decommissioning of the site, basically everybody that was living on the island or camping out has packed up and moved on to other places. Normally I like to stay on these meetings until just about the end, but unfortunately I'm gonna have to jump after my part. So I am here for any questions, and if there's anything else anybody needs, of course, we have our emails and contacts. We'd be happy to help you out with anything you need.
Yes, thank you. We're looking forward to the presentation next month.
Great.
Anyone, any board member have any question? No, beautiful, yes, next. And now we're having presentations and discussion.
Any other community-based organizations? I want to.
Oh, yes, I did not see that. Other community-based organizations? Okay. Now we're having the presentations and discussion. Thank you. Okay. We are going to do that.
So we asked for the, we have Parks and Recreation, anybody available to go over Pier 107 Bobby Wagner Walk reconstruction project? For the public art update, who do we have available for us?
Yes, hello. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Hi. So Mary here representing the Parks Department. We have a number of other folks from the project team online. I'm going to see if I can click through the carousel here. We've got Ricardo Hinkle from New York City Parks. We've got Sarah Nielsen. I think I've got everybody there. Lena Ferguson, Tara Doss, and Marathon and Simon Pearson from EDC. We've got Emily Bloom, and of course, Jerome Hafford, who is our artist. So I will be just giving a quick introduction, and then Jerome will take it away with the presentation. Did I forget anyone from the project team? I think we've also got our consultants here.
From Stantec.
Gentry Locke and Wendy as well. I think now
Yeah.
I've got everybody.
Yeah.
Fabulous. So Jerome, how are you able to share your screen? And then I'll just tee off the presentation with just a quick update about where we are with the project.
All right. Hi, everybody.
Nice outer space background.
I know. It's better than
I've got cherry blossoms being optimistic.
All right, let me pull it up. I think I can.
Fabulous. Okay, so we are back for the Pier 107 Bobby Wagner Walk update on public art. This has been submitted to PDC for final design review. Very exciting. And Jerome, if you could just go to the next slide, it's just our status update slide.
You still see it?
Oh, yes, we can
Okay.
still see your screen. And actually, now that you're here, I'll just point out the project limit, once again, for those of you who are newer to the project, is from 94th Street up to 107th, including Pier 107. And then the project picks back up again at 117th up to 124th. This is an Esplanade rehabilitation project and reconstruction, as well as complete reconstruction of Pier 107. We've been working on this for about 3 years now. Pretty amazing how time has flown by, and we are fastly approaching the end of our design journey. So if you could just advance the next slide, it'll just show, and I wonder, Jerome, is your screen advancing, but we're not seeing it?
Yeah, that might be what's happening.
Aha, yes. Try unsharing, then resharing. Oh, perfect. Okay, there we go. So as I mentioned, this was just submitted to the Public Design Commission for the March meeting. We're hoping to receive approval, and then we are aiming to complete final design by this summer and aim to start construction early next winter. So really exciting. This rendering here shows what would be the brand new Pier 107, which would be a completely different design than what's there now. And we're really excited about it. It just offers a kind of a great selection of seating, including some ecological elements, which we heard the community was interested in. And what you need to know is that the art piece that Jerome will be presenting on, that's situated right in the pier where those two arms are, right in there. So the artwork is positioned in a place that is kind of important to the history and ecology of this waterfront. So without further ado, I will pass it over to Jerome. Thank you.
All right. Hi, everybody. It's good to be here. Just about a year ago, I think I presented to you all or to this group a concept design for the water table project. I can sort of see on this in the screen some familiar faces. Connie, hi, and Tapashi from Marcus Garvey and everybody. And for those who don't know me, I am a resident of CB11. I live on 127th Street. And my studio space is right near the site for this artwork on East 104th Street, between First and Second Avenue. So it's really been a huge honor to work on this project and to just work with this team who are on this call with Gentry and the folks at Stantec, and with all of you. and I'll share sort of where we've come to get here. This is the sort of overview, aerial view of water table. And I think sometimes maybe artworks change a fair amount from the concept phase to this sort of phase where we're really finalizing the design. If you can go back and look at what we presented and what I presented then, it has changed, but I think it's really mainly just improved on the scheme that we had at that point that everybody was really positive about and feeling really excited about. So I hope everyone's really excited and intrigued at this ambitious but really I think amazing effort and artwork. So yeah, this is the piece. I'm gonna show now a little bit more of the context here on the pier, uh, uh, obviously embracing the water's edge, which has really been the real idea that has driven for the proposal from the very beginning. And even this idea actually came to me on Randall's Island. So shout out to Randall's Island, looking across at this spot. We trying to imagine this new pier that's going to be there, um, and where I ride my bike all the time, including to the All Nations Powwow, which there's a little image there on the bottom left that happens on Indigenous Peoples Day, which was a big inspiration for this artwork as well. So I'm just going to read a little bit of the description. The water table is a celebration of the water's edge and a place of gathering and celebration and even repair. The artwork is really imaging our everyday stories of here in El Barrio, and I'll talk about that. And also tracing the location of the Harlem Creek. And I don't know, I'm sure there are older other names for that waterway, but you see that in the middle there, which used to flow at the surface and empty out very much like these strands of the artwork into the Harlem River. And so that concept really drove the design of this kind of plaza here and altar, which is really also kind of picking up off of some temporary works that incorporate elements that you can even sit on and gather around, but are sort of sculptural artworks themselves, and is really meant to sort of evoke kind of cultural traditions and sort of ancient forms, but also being kind of futuristic in the use of sort of digital technology to produce the different strands that are made out of steel and precast concrete, these custom sort of pavers that you see here that sort of bleed out and weave together and then meet the esplanade's edge. Okay, here's a top view of the new pier, and then the placement of the artwork, which is about 35 feet long or wide. And you can see there's other kinds of seating also all around this area. So we're really excited, and trees to shade the artwork. And we've spent a lot of time. I mean, we've been working on this, and I've been really learning from the team and working with them for now really over a year, thinking about the different times of day and in the afternoon that the sun will be shaded by those trees as it passes behind them. So this is just another view looking down the esplanade and seeing this kind of plaza, this gathering space. Uh, uh, Here you can sort of see how these kind of strands of the artwork will interface with the new elements of the esplanade, and then the water, how close we are to the water and the bike path and everything kind of happening here. And then, even though it's really oriented towards the river, this sort of crescent shape with etchings, uh, we really worked to have the kind of other side of the artwork really feel like this exciting kind of sculptural form as well, even from the bike path, where you have this sort of steel um, structure and those steel fins that are all perforated. And then here are just some images where we've been working on the materiality of this altar and of the back of the artwork, where it's kind of blurry here actually in this PDF, but you can sort of begin to see, and maybe here's a better image. Yes, where we have developed the kind of etchings on the steel. That's really a sort of abstract pattern of perforations to give it a kind of transparency that from far away will sort of evoke some of these kind of aquatic forms and other sort of fossil-like uh, images. And then you can see on the precast concrete, there will be a number of different scales of these etchings which were generated through a community engagement that we did over a series of 2 weeks with the Summer Rising program at Central Park East. So this is sixth, seventh, and eighth graders. Like 40 of them worked with me and also my team, in particular, Pedro Cruz and Gabriel Moyer Perez, to make their own etchings. Again, thinking about these sort of ancient structures, these petroglyphs that are really cross-cultural. And we sort of spoke about that and how these are often at the site at the adjacent to water bodies. And they really were able to then etch whatever they wanted. A lot of them did sea creatures and things like that, and other kind of aquatic images, which will really become these sort of fossilized archaeological traces on the artwork. Okay, I think that's it.
I have a question. You mentioned the students CPE designed those parts. Which CPE students? CPE 1 or 2?
A two. I think it's number 2. It's the one right there. It's
In the
in,
101st?
yeah, CP2. Yep.
Got it, got it. I was just curious, that's all. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, we have a question.
Where is this and when will it be finished?
Do you wanna answer that?
So
Well,
I'll go, I'll maybe
It'll be
go back
located at the
here.
pier and constructed as part of the whole project, which will begin next winter.
And where is it located? I know, like.
No, we'll cross it.
It's at 107, about 107.
7 in the river.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that
Thank you.
location sighting was special because, as Jerome mentioned, the old Harlem Creek used to flow out of the street grid right at this location. So it's a cool moment that the historic creek happens to align with where the pier is. That was just coincidental. And that kind of gives reason for why this art piece would be located there, how it's this interface between the grid and the river.
Thank you. I do like the etchings, the little carving etchings. It looks like the Mayans.
Yes.
Arts from Peru.
Yes, and we looked at Taino, Bate, that are still around, and they're you see these different ways of marking. So we thought a lot about that.
Awesome, thank you. Connie has a question?
Hi, Jerome.
Hey.
Jerome and I know each other quite well. Simple question. What was the color direction of these pieces, which is kind of orangey rust color and rather neutral?
Yeah,
What was the thought process there?
Yeah, we went through several different ideas of the coloration and the different color schemes. I think in the beginning it was really more monolithic, like just one or two colors. Then there was an idea of like, well, let's try making it bright colors. Honestly, we tested different things, and this kind of earth tones really, I don't know, I don't really have a brilliant like answer. There just was something we really liked, and I like working with these colors in other work. And so this unanimously, this palette of kind of earthy colors Even though it's not literally like water, we tried blues and it just didn't look right. So yeah, we just all liked it. I don't really have a huge, reason.
Good enough.
I'll have to think of something.
It's not necessary.
For next time, Takashi, do you have your hand up?
Yes, I do. Hi, Jerome.
Hey. Hi,
I
Tapashi.
was wondering, what was the engagement with El Barrio in particular? Because I know you said you did the engagement with the kids at Central Park, but was there something done in El Barrio specifically?
I think, I've been doing informal engagement with folks in the neighborhood around this, but the formal engagement was really this series of workshops that was mostly with the young people, in terms of helping to co-produce the artwork. I've gone to a few events and shared info about it. Like I went to the Randall's Island event last spring. But those were more informal sort of sharings of the artwork. Yeah.
Okay, it's beautiful how you incorporate their art pieces, and I remember you telling me this as when you were coming to Marcus Garvey right after the interaction with the kids. So yeah, I really like it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Lovely presentation.
Thank you. And we're hoping if the CB is willing to write a letter, just either acknowledging or supporting the work, it would be much appreciated.
Yes, and I hope y'all are as excited to see this all happen as I am.
A letter of support or a letter of acknowledgement?
A resolution, possibly, of support.
Because usually what we do, like right now, we could provide like a letter that you presented. For next month, we can take up the letter of support, right? We'll have to wait a month.
As the crafting,
Yeah,
ideally, if the committee wants to do that, they can definitely do that.
When do they
That's
need it?
fine.
when do you
Does
need
it-
it back?
What do you need?
It's
I
Ricardo.
think we
that's
need it.
needed
We
by
need it eventually. We need it eventually. If we have a letter that we presented, that actually helps get us through PDC, Public Design Commission. That will suffice for now.
Right, but when do you need it by? Because usually it's like a 30-day wait. But a letter of
I think it looks like we need it for the April meeting, April PDC,
April meeting.
April 28th.
Yeah, by the
Yeah.
meeting.
So just a letter saying that we were here.
right? That you presented, that's a letter of acknowledgement that you presented, we discussed, we engage in conversation. We can do that. Would you want to draft it, send it over so we can take a look at it?
Sure.
The committee asked Steve Simon.
Unless you have a standard template, but yes, happy to send you something.
We can use one from
Yeah,
another
we can look
project.
at another.
Okay, so we can be on standby for that.
Right, yeah. Thank you.
A resolution, further supporting the project that can be worked on.
Right, for next month, it can be introduced in the next month meeting, because we have to provide time for people to just, listen in to the presentation.
And I can put my email contact in the chat if anybody wants to reach out, would love to hear from anyone. And I'm here in the neighborhood, so.
Awesome, we have a question from one of our members.
Hi, thank you. I think question was not answered because she said, where is it and when it's going to be available?
No,
So,
they,
do they have an idea? They say the project is starting next winter, but for how long? Is it 1 year, 2 years, 3 years?
Refer to Meredith ultimately, but typically construction is about 2 to 3 years, depending on the complexity. These waterfront projects take a little longer because of the substantial marine work that needs to happen. Anything to add, Meredith?
It's
Gonna be a nice adventure to hear.
awesome, thank you. Now we're moving on to the next presentation.
Thank you
Do
very
we
much.
have? Thank you, we'll reach out.
Thanks.
Thank you. Do we have anyone from the FloodNet, New York City updates and request for committee feedback? That's what we're
Yes, that's Veronica Ignacio, if I'm saying that correctly.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Veronique Ignace. I am representing FloodNet NYC. I work as the community engagement manager for the project, and I'm leading all of their community building around strategies and implementation of the programming. I'm trying to take over share screen. Is it happening? I don't know if it's happening.
Go ahead, try now.
Are you seeing that?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you all for inviting me today. I'm happy to present on what this project is and what we've been doing. I want to apologize in advance for people who have already heard about this project somewhere, and I will welcome questions as I present, because I think this will be sort of a quick one. Okay, so with that, I will begin by just saying that this FloodNet project is one that is developing and working out of partnership with the Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice. It's primarily being funded by NYC DEP, but we also work very closely with the Office of Technology and Innovation and DOT as far as being able to deploy our sensors. And what we're really doing ultimately is developing tools to monitor flooding in real time at the street level. And so how we do that is primarily by developing, designing, and implementing flood sensors that we do through our academic researchers at NYU and at CUNY. And then we work very closely with community-based organizations, other city partners, and residents to kind of inform where these sensors go and where we monitor. So I'm going to talk a little bit through what this is and how we're doing it. I want to say first and foremost, the type of flooding that this project monitors is that which occurs on the street level. And so this is often related to flooding that's related to high intensity rain events, storm surge events, and coastal flooding in those coastal neighborhoods, specifically those around Jamaica Bay. I shared a little bit earlier about what this is, but you can kind of see in the image here that our sensor, surprise, surprise, it looks like a camera. And so we try to make a really concerted effort to share with folks like yourselves, but anyone who at this point will listen about what this technology is and how it can be used. And so this tool, the fundamental part of this tool is this sensor, which you can see is inputted onto a U-channel post with permissions from DOT. This is the post that basically holds our parking signs in the street. It runs independently of any power infrastructure, and so it's powered by this little solar panel that hangs out on the top, and it transmits information every minute to a public-facing data dashboard, which I will speak about a little bit later. Yet another recap of the who's who as part of this project. I've been on this team since spring of 2023, and I always get questions about how many people is working, who's working here, and most folks are really surprised to know that it's a very small team. We are led again by researchers who work specifically out of CUNY, Brooklyn College, and the Advanced Science and Research Center, which is up in Harlem. And a few researchers at the Tandon School of Engineering. And so together we're working to design the sensors and the process by which we engage and put these sensors out into the space. And our city partners have been supporting us in ensuring that, of course, the project is funded, but that also all of the right people hear about what this is, and as well in developing tools to ensure that the data that is getting collected can also be used and accessible. So that being said, our project has a public-facing data dashboard where the information from those sensors are uploaded again every single minute. The sensors work through an ultrasonic technology. So essentially they are sending a sound wave down to the sidewalk where they're located every single moment and creating a depth measurement of whatever is under it. And so when there is water there, we can measure the presence of that water, the frequency and the depth, but also the duration of that water there. Because we are using this sort of ultrasonic technology, it also means that if there's trash or a bicycle or a person standing there for a really long time, we'll track that too. And so our team on the tech side has been doing a lot of work to kind of refine the machine learning of the sensor. And so to make the distinction on that dashboard about what is a flood and what is not a flood. And so this link here that you're seeing will take you to our website, but it'll also take you to the dashboard. All of our sensors in the street are also accompanied with a sign that's now been updated with a QR code to be able to locate where other sensors are. At this stage of the project, we have 246 sensors that have been deployed across the 5 boroughs. We have a mandate from DEP to deploy 500 of those sensors by mid-2024. So that's a goal that we're working toward. And how we have been able to determine where sensors go has been a really intricate process that primarily is dependent on community sensor suggested locations. I'll show at the end of this slideshow a form or a QR code to a form that we use to collect information, suggestions from residents, from organizations, from elected officials, from other city agencies as well about where flooding has occurred, where people have seen flooding. And then we input that into a larger process that allows us to kind of simulate what flooding looks like on a street level, determine maybe what's the lowest part of elevation in that street level, and then that supports with us being able to pick the best spot for a sensor to go. And so I want to say in the borough of Manhattan right now, we have somewhere around 37 sensors available, and I will provide a list in the next 2 slides about the sensors that are specifically within East Harlem. But we are always looking for more suggestions and information about where people have seen flooding. But I want to just take a quick moment to kind of show you what the data looks like from that sensor when it gets uploaded to the dashboard. I can kind of hear a sound in the room. So if there are questions right now, I would be happy to take them. So just let me know.
We can finish the presentation and we'll write our questions down in a minute.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So this is data that we collected during that rain event in September 29th of 2023. What I think many people were referring to as like the remnants of Ophelia. And on that particular day, our sensor network was, as you can see, much smaller in terms of where sensors were deployed, but we were able to capture like a maximum depth of 36 inches on our sensors, and 26 of the sensors that we had available at the time were able to measure flooding. And I think just from my own memory, we were able to capture this flooding like a full hour before the city was announcing that this was an emergent situation. And so you might remember some of the pictures from that day around the whirlpool that was specifically happening in Brooklyn on Carroll and 4th and Park Slope. And so we kind of pair those pictures with the data that our sensors were able to collect on that day. And you can see, kind of zoomed in here, that our sensor data, which is the darker navy blue line, is capturing a flood profile that lasted, within this like 2-hour block of time. And the teal bars that you see there on our public data dashboard, you're actually able to pull up precipitation data from the same time. And this is similar for tidal coastal communities that are looking at tidal data, where you can kind of see the flood profile that our sensor collects paired with tidal data, which oftentimes is matching like the movement of the moon as well. And so for every dot that you see on the dashboard, this flood profile is able to, you can kind of pick it up, and you can do so historically through the time that the sensor was deployed. And so information about when the sensor was deployed is also listed on this dashboard as well. So alongside that, we have a few sensors in East Harlem that are listed at this current location and still looking to deploy based off of the suggestions that we've collected. Again, I will show at the end of this a QR code where people can suggest suggestions, and I can also send it to you all via email as we're continuously using the form right now to collect information. What you're looking at on the left panel, though, is one of the items that we use when we are conducting outreach in communities and sharing information about what the sensor is and what it's meant to do. And so this is kind of where the main part of my contribution to the project lives, is in the space of developing this community engagement arm and doing it in a way that's meant to be reciprocal and dynamic with the people that are the most impacted by flooding. And so our arm right now is basically divided into these three buckets between outreach, which we see as sort of the opportunity to raise awareness about the project, identify areas that are flood prone, not just based off of the maps that we know, but also the experiences of residents themselves. And we also use that as an opportunity to then develop community education programming and materials which support this sort of ongoing feedback and collaboration between people who are interested in this work and in this data, and our team of researchers, city agency partners, and other organizations. And the space of action is a funky one for us because we are representing public institutions. So what we see is that we have the capacity to support people who are in the business of creating solutions for their communities to address flooding and sharing as much as possible around what we're learning and what we're hearing on the ground. So a little bit more on that. We have participated in various types of outreach, from tabling events to walkthroughs with CBOs and elected officials. I personally have been leaving my calendar open for one-on-one meetings since the time that I started, and that is still the case if folks in the room would like to connect a little bit more in depth about what this project is. And we also develop opportunities for people to engage in educational workshops that teach about the flood technology itself. Again, that it's not a camera, that also teach skills around how to read that data dashboard, because of course you can make data available, but it's not necessarily intuitive how to read it or how to use it. And other opportunities for teaching around data collection, specifically because partners that make up FloodNet also include New York Sea Grant, which has been leading the Community Flood Watch project in Jamaica Bay, and the MyCoast tool, which is a statewide tool where people can kind of submit photos of flooding when they see it. And so we're consistently also co-producing and co-editing educational materials and outreach materials that support all of these things, including what you see on the far right, if you're looking at the screen, with these what we call neighborhood profiles that kind of shape where neighborhoods are located, what key projects related to flooding have happened there, and what flooding looks like in that neighborhood. And so all of the documents and educational materials that we co-build and co-produce are meant to be a work in progress. They're meant to be edited all of the time, but are supposed to be a sort of offering that not only supports our outreach, but also a sort of exchange around resource sharing. This is just some clips of our team installing the sensors and what we look like in the ground. As you can see, we don't have official gear and equipment on us. We're now wearing pennies, but if you see a FloodNet member in the field, say hello. But this is generally what it would look like when we are deploying, and what the sensor looks like once it's up on the U-channel post itself. And so with that, I will point to this QR code, which again, if you're not able to pull it up right now, I can also share the link to this afterward. But any suggestions that we collect would come through this form, as it helps us to geolocate where that suggestion is and makes it a lot easier for us to manage it alongside the other suggestions that we've collected. I think majority of the sensors that have been deployed up until this point, this 246 number, were deployed after we had collected 1,000 suggestions through March of 2024. And so we still have some suggestions that we've been collecting since then, are seeking to incorporate into our deployment process, but the form is still available. And so any space that you've seen flooding on your street or in other streets can also be added here. And that is what I have to share with you all today.
That's great. I noticed that there was, I'm sorry, Khalid, did I cut you off? Oh, sorry. I noticed that there was, 2 languages on the sensor. It says censor something and then, right there, it says censo de inundación, but there's the language, there's a paragraph. Is that also in Spanish or no?
In the new sign, I want to say no, not in the new sign. This particular, the edits to the sign is like the one thing that we always try to get for permission with DOT to edit. So I think the new sign has more information in Spanish, but this paragraph, which describes that the sensor is not a camera, not collecting information, I'm not positive if it's in Spanish. What I can say is that all of the outreach and dissemination material that we do have, we translate with support from the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs in the top 10 languages. And what I'm working on is getting permission to kind of zip tie this longer form, the one on the far left, to all of the sensors so that people can see it in all of the local languages. So that's more information than what you asked for, but that's kind of where we are as far as making it readable from neighborhood to neighborhood.
Right, thank you. Does any member have any questions?
I wanted to add on to that.
Of course we do.
I wanted to add on to that. Could it possibly be like a QR code that leads them to the different languages? I mean, maybe that can help you out in that form where if they scan the QR code, it can lead them to the different languages instead of having like this long thing on there.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Thank you.
We have another question by a board member.
My question was, is the QR code on the one page on the left the same that you shared earlier?
Yes. So the QR code, this QR code that's on the, I'm sorry. The QR code that's on the sign is not the QR code that is for suggestions. The QR code on the sign will take people to the data dashboard on the website. But if you are looking for the sensor suggestion form, that is connected to our website, which is there, but it's not this one that you're looking at on the screen.
Any other question by the board member? Wait, one second.
Comment to the board, that's it.
You have a question?
Yeah. So, there are 7 sensors in East Harlem. Out of the 247. I know you said that you're trying to reach 500. I just wanted to know, like, what was the reasons why you only had 7 in East Harlem? Were those the only suggestions that you had? And what prevents you from getting to 500 now? Is it funding? Is it the city budget? Like, what is preventing you from having 500 at this moment instead of in 2027?
Yeah. So there isn't anything impeding us right now. We have the sort of like seats of 500 sensors for all 5 boroughs. So we are kind of just being really intentional around determining where the best places for a sensor are. And we're trying to rely as much as possible on the feedback that we're getting from people that are in the neighborhood. So it's sort of a balancing act between doing outreach before and after a sensor has gone out, getting suggestions, and then making sure that there's sort of like equal representation from the city agency partners who may have places where they want sensors to go, community organizations, and residents themselves. So this is sort of balancing act is very slow. But in addition to that, we're also developing the technology in real time as well. So it's not like this is a stock sensor design that we kind of just put up. Our team is actually hand building, manufacturing the sensors, and then developing the technology. So the first set of sensors that went out, for example, which is the one that collected the data in Gowanus, that sensor was one that relied on a separate device, which kind of worked like a Wi-Fi router. So we could only put up sensors within a mile radius. Now our sensors are using cellular technology to upload data. So there's like changes in these design of the sensor that is happening as we're also learning about the neighborhoods and deploying as well.
We have another question by another member.
Hi, could you just briefly define what you mean by best places to place them? Like what would be that criteria?
So there are actually a few things that could go into that, to responding to that. Some of them could be the elevation in the space. So maybe a place that we've received a sensor suggestion is actually not the lowest placed in that neighborhood. So while it may be flooding, it could be flooding for many other reasons, but it may not be the first place to flood. That could be a thing. The availability of one of those posts, like that U-channel post to put a sensor on, that has to be present in the location as well. Perhaps one of the suggested location is a place where there's a lot of tree or greenery. That wouldn't be a good location. So there are these kinds of concessions around where a sensor could go. Additionally, because we're using solar panel energy, there needs to be the proper facing for that solar panel to get the most sun so the battery could recharge. So those are the kinds of things that our tech team is looking at. And so we use what the city has a tool called Cyclomedia that allows us to take suggestions, process them, and figure out among those suggested places, what would be this quote unquote best place if we could simulate where the water is. And then our team of field engineers, which is really just 2 people on our team, they go out to the location and look at it and determine, does this make sense? The other thing is, sorry, go for it. Okay. Sufficient? Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Do you have a question for the presenter?
No, but I had a comment for the board when she said, I have a question.
You go ahead.
I kind of want to piggyback off of what you said around the different elevations across the city. Because we have so much different terrain, is there a plan to potentially test or place sensors underground, like in subway stations?
So our project specifically is focused on street flooding, but because we're working with city agency partners that are interested in that, particularly DEP as well, the technology that we're using and the data dashboards that we're using are being leveraged to basically make technology that could do that. Our team specifically wouldn't be doing that, but we're supporting the exchange of information on how a device could do that. So MTA is one of the agencies that lists, we have a standing monthly meeting with agencies like that for that reason. And of course, very close connections with DEP, who is funding the project.
Awesome, thank you. That's really good. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and it's a way.
Any other questions? And thank you so much for coming in. Please send us the presentation if you're able to, and we will definitely provide feedback.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
So just a quick comment. So I think this is a city budget issue. So apparently there was a decision to allocate a certain amount of money for FloodNet, but I'm concerned about solutions. And we know that in northern Manhattan, we don't have enough good parks, which is a great solution for flooding, parks and trees. So, I was in a rally with WEAC, for example, we were pushing for more funding for parks. So you might consider being on that bandwagon, because it's a good it can be very helpful as a preventive of flooding. Yeah. Parks and trees and all of that.
Thank you.
And East River. I actually did have a question or just inquire, Veronica, do you know if FloodNet is also working with DOT for those like significant points of flooding in terms of, well, maybe we could regrade, you know, the street or sidewalk or what infrastructure at that location? Do you know if that's also part of, you know, the studies, or at least in terms of resolving any issues?
I missed part of the sentence. Could you
Okay, so-
one more
Yeah, no
time?
problem. So basically wondering if you guys are partnered with DOT in terms of, well, these are, you know, hot points or, you know, crazy flood points, and maybe they could look into studying like regrading the area. Do you know if that's a part of, your scope, or if you know that's something that DOT would be responsive to?
Yeah, I can say that we are partnered with DOT as far as that goes, in terms of being able to identify these locations. And part of what DOT is interested in, for example, is using the sensors at some of these more complex locations and travel points, like, you know, Major Deegan, like these kinds of areas that are not resident traffic the same way as like the street level. And so they are hoping to have the FloodNet data in order to support that type of decision making, exactly what you're describing. Now, to the extent they've already made that decision making and what they're doing there, I couldn't speak on that.
That's no worries. As long as they're intent to do it. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now we have our participation in New York City Consulting Program. Do we have anyone? I do. Oh my God. I am sleepy, I guess.
It's late.
Joyce, hi.
Hi, and Danielle. So I think you have it up there, right? Or I think maybe we can go on either side of it. I'm not used to doing this in person. This is more fun. I think I'll stand up here. They see you.
Hi there. And Joyce, you can sit over here.
Yeah, you don't understand. I think, Joyce, you don't have to sound like. They don't want you to joke. They don't want you. No, I mean like not, but I mean not. I mean.
You don't want me to stand
Yes,
behind.
exactly.
Okay, so how about you? Is that okay?
That's fine. That's fine.
Don't worry about it, she ain't choking.
So, okay, so this is an environmental committee, and we're gonna talk about the environment from the standpoint of composting. And I'm gonna start with the kitchen. So I'm Joyce Bialik from Manhattan Solid Waste Advisory Board. And I'm also a member of We Act, as I mentioned, and here is my friend and colleague, Danielle Dookie, who is also in those two organizations. So, yeah, mandatory organics collections started in Manhattan on October 6th. And we'll get to whether or not your building is participating in this program, but all buildings should be participating. So we're gonna talk about what to do, starting with the kitchen. So if we can move to the next, yes. So the important thing is to use a container with a lid, okay, in your kitchen. And you can put it on your counter, you can put the contents of the container with your food waste in a refrigerator, in a freezer, whatever is convenient for you. And, you know, there are lots of choices for the kind of container you would use, and I think priorities would be what's least
Excuse me for a
expensive.
second. Excuse me.
Sure.
Don't you stand over there, because people usually stand over there and he's not comfortable with you stand behind him.
Also, we have the stuff that's.
Oh, you still-
Yeah,
oh,
I'm
you
sorry.
still-
No, it's more like protocol. I'm sorry. I really don't wanna. Because of that
Okay.
reason, yeah.
No, I don't, Holly, no, absolutely don't wanna make it difficult for you.
Thank you.
So, of course, so the considerations could be what's the least expensive and also what's the healthiest. So we have 4 examples, and so of the 4, which are the least expensive?
Plastic.
4. Yeah, so there is, right, so you can see a plastic container. And, but there's also an old kitchen pot.
A reused one.
Yes, it's reused, right. So, those are good, but what about the issue of health? Is there a health concern from any of those four choices?
It's been in the news a lot lately around.
Microplastics or?
Exactly, yeah, because, ultimately, we want to create compost, which goes in our soil, which goes in the, food that is grown in the soil. And I don't think we want plastic with it because it leaches, so it's not the best. But then we say the most important thing is for you to do this, to divert any of your food scraps from trash. That's the most important thing. But if you're concerned about health and also the cost, which is best choice? Health and which is best
You
choice?
said a
The
concern.
three.
Both.
Cost is number 4, but half the,
Health.
Three.
Yeah,
three.
because that's metal, yeah.
Mhm.
So it doesn't leach toxic chemicals
Right.
in the soil and affect the food that we eat. It's a concern because there's a lot of plastic in the food we eat, we know. Okay, we can go to the next one. So what should we be separating? So you can see the food and yard waste, food scraps, and even food soil paper. We can put aside in those containers. And so the result is that we're gonna have a lot less smelly stuff in our trash. And of course, that's a good thing. So next.
And that's right.
Yes, okay. So step 2. So you've got the food in your container and you want to be able to put it somewhere in a container that your building uses that will then be collected by the sanitation department. And they do it on the same day that they do recycling. So you need to learn from your super building manager, where is that container? And we typically use this brown bin. So we've been calling it the brown bin program. That's the official sanitation container, but you can use other containers, and we'll look at that in a minute. And we don't recommend including your plastic bag in the bin for the reasons that we mentioned. Keep the plastic out of the soil. Okay, let's go. So buildings can get bins for composting from the Department of Sanitation. So if you want to help your manager, if you don't have a bin yet for your building, you can copy the QR code. You can also go to the sanitation website to find out about these bins. Or you can get a bin that follows certain criteria that's listed, but you want to have a decal so that when the building manager puts out a bin, they know, okay, this is food scraps. Okay, so it's not a big deal. And then you can get the decals of the Department of Sanitation. Next. Okay, so maybe your building is not complying with the mandate. Maybe you don't have these bins to collect food scraps. So, I mean, you have to have a conversation with your building manager. And you have to mention that there are gonna be fines if buildings don't comply. And sanitation starting in April, which is just around the corner, they're gonna look at trash to see if there's any food in your trash. Well, I'm sure even if everybody complies, it's gonna be some food. But if nobody complies in your building, that's a bad thing. Your building is gonna be fine. So you gotta tell your manager if they're not aware of it. I know that sanitation has been trying to do some education and telling building managers to go to special webinars about what to do. I don't know how often this is happening. I know I had some problem getting the managers of my building to do something. Yeah, so you have to tell them, look, you're gonna be fined, they're gonna find food in our trash. Okay, next. So why are we requiring this? I mean, already there's all these recycling rules. Why do we need to deal with food? What is this? Well, I want to remind you that with this program, you do have a chance to do something about climate change. Because this is a lot about climate change. Let's look at that. You like this picture? So a friend that we had created this. It's a climate change issue. Food waste, how is it? Well, the trash, if it's not in a separate bin for the purpose of composting, goes to landfills or incinerators. Now, if it goes to incinerators, in this neighborhood, it ends up going in an environmental justice community in Newark, exactly. Yeah, the Iron Band community. But if it goes to a landfill, that's also terrible. Because when there's food in landfills, methane is released. And that is 80 times more heat trapping than carbon dioxide, 80 times. So if you want to think of it kind of an easy way to make a difference with respect to climate change, do this. Put aside your food scraps and you can help to mitigate climate change. It's not so difficult, it's easy. So just a fact, if food waste was a country, it would be the third largest emitter of greenhouse gas after China and the US. Yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry, is this United States food waste or food waste? Well, the food waste was a country, so are you saying food waste across the globe, or is this specifically?
That's a good question. I bet it's across the globe.
Okay.
I bet it, yeah. Yeah, I mean, this information is collected carefully. Yes, so next one. And, yes.
All right, take it away. So one of the 3 reasons why this is very important is because, as Joyce said, it's an environmental justice issue. New York City trash is picked up and sent to a landfill or an incinerator that is typically located in a Black or brown or a low-income community that is outside of New York. So in this picture here, we have a photo of the incinerator based in Newark, New Jersey, where there is pink smoke coming out of the incinerator, which is very toxic to those that live in that community. And it's very close to New York, so in a sense, we also breathe that in at some point. And the most relevant issue is the rat issue. Rats can easily pierce through a black trash bag and go to town with it. So they can't do that as easily if our food waste is placed inside of a tightly latched hard surface bin like the brown ones. And lastly, it's also a cost issue. Burying and burning our food scraps have negative environmental and health costs. It's also increasingly difficult to find locations in upstate New York that's willing to bury or burn our trash, which is why it's being sent out of state at this point. So finished compost is a valuable commodity that can earn money for New York while we enrich our soil. So the value of compost is very strong. As I've said, it improves soil health and it conserves water and helps prevent flooding, which is kind of a nod to what we just talked about. And it also combats climate change.
I love that screen that we just put in. It's so big.
So there are multiple benefits of separating our food waste from the trash. It provides valuable compost. It helps to protect environmental justice from reducing the amount of waste that is sent to them. It helps protect the climate. And lastly, it combats the rat issue that we have in New York City. So we can do more by reducing our food waste by eating our leftovers or sharing unused food with our friends and family. You can only buy what you need to save money and save food. You can donate extra food to food pantries and community refrigerators to help those who are in need. And don't be fooled by Best By dates on your food. That just means that it's no longer at the optimal freshness, but it's still edible. You can also buy locally grown food at your local farmer's market. Sorry?
I have a question about that.
Okay. And lastly, you can eat and prepare less food. So what can you do? You can prevent food waste, like I just talked about. You can keep food waste out of the trash by separating them properly. And you can advocate by supporting turning our food scraps into valuable compost, removing plastics from compost. And if you really want to get involved, you can join the Manhattan Solid Waste Advisory Board. We have an organics committee. And you can also join WEAC's Climate Justice Working Group. They also address these issues. So if you want to learn more, you can sign up for the Manhattan Swab newsletter. come to a meeting, or you can join. Our applications close on the 14th, so time is approaching. And we have a QR code to our website where we have a lot more information around this.
A lot more. So, we want your questions. You just heard us talk. What do you want to know that we didn't say?
She said, if she can go back about the food, best by dates. What does it mean? What is it exactly? But like how,
Yeah, okay. So the best by date usually means that it's no longer at its optimal freshness, but it's still edible. The expiration date is usually what the difference. So like an expiration date means like for milk, for example, at that point, then you should just throw it out. But if you have like, I don't know, like a can of tuna or something, it's still okay to eat, but if you like go too far past that date, then you should throw it out.
just like a week, a month?
Yeah, yeah.
I've been on the.
I opened up
Different
April, I was a year old the other day, and it was fine.
Yes.
Can.
No, cans work well.
Alright.
Yeah, they
Oh,
work
really?
well. And it's a great container,
You know. it's
much
can-
better than plastic.
Like canned food, like they stock it, you know, in like shelf, like bunkers and stuff. So
Yeah.
like, you know, canned food is usually alright,
It
but if
is.
it smells, then it's like.
Right, yeah, use your
It's the same
discretion.
way.
And I always have canned beans.
Let's use our nose. Okay, does any other board member have a question?
And then I have a question. So we want to get as many people as possible participating in this program. We want as many people as possible to make a difference in climate change and deal with rats. So if you're not already doing this, what will help? What will help you? What can the city do? Can the solid waste advisory board do anything to help?
Well, I would say, I mean, based off of
I'm taking notes.
Based off of your presentation, I know one thing that would be hard for us to do, health wise, based off of. What you, presented, is putting our old kitchen pots, like throwing those away. Like how would, I guess. You saying put the old kitchen pot in, or put it there, like what do you?
But you want to make sure that the pot has a lid. That's the first
Oh,
thing.
I got you, bro.
Wait, I understand your question.
Yeah.
So
Um,
you essentially, if you have an old one that you don't use, or you wanna use for this purpose, you put it somewhere in your, you know, in the kitchen. And then each time you eat dinner, you leave that leftover pizza, 2 days later, it's still there in the fridge, take it, put it in that container, not in the trash.
So the point is, wait,
There-
excuse me,
Sure.
all right, people jumping in is not how we do it here.
Okay.
Yeah, why don't-
Thank you. To answer your question with how I think you were presenting it, you don't throw out the pot. You take what's in the pot and you dump it in the brown bin that's downstairs, and then you clean the pot and use it over and over and over again. So we're not actually throwing out the steel containers or the pot.
Thank you.
Got you.
Yeah. And that's helpful because when we do this presentation, we have to make that clear.
Right, some of our buildings do not have a brown container. What can we do other than like call 311 and report our building?
Well, I think that sanitation will find out when they see food scraps in the trash, but I think you need to have a conversation with your super building manager and tell them that they're in trouble.
Yeah.
They don't comply. It's like recycling. I mean, at first maybe there was some resistance, but now, you know, most buildings, I hope, most buildings are participating in that. So this is another effort. It requires a different kind of bins.
Okay,
But it's, yeah.
yeah, thank you.
So I think,
Wait, 1 second, Khalid?
To answer your question, Joyce, originally, you should consider tabling for the birthday conference that this committee is spearheading for this coming April. And we also have our newsletter where we blast out information like this all the time to the community. So we have maybe about 3,000 people that we send it to. Whether they open it or not, that's different, but we can definitely share the information. And we've also helped DSNY blast out the bin mandate when it, you know, first came out last fall. So we were sharing that, you know, properties were eligible if they went through the process, they could get a free composting bin. I don't know if the bin is still free.
No, the time is up for
So-
that.
right,
I'm glad
okay.
you did that.
Okay,
Yeah,
right.
but But let me ask you, so if we were to write something for your newsletter, what would be the most important things that we should say?
Images are nice. The key points that you've had here in terms of the impacts of climate change, that composting, proper composting could contribute to. You could post a little bit of the bad implications of improper composting or, the throwing away our trash and so forth. You could post those. So maybe about 5 key bullet points with some images. You can follow along your aesthetic here. That'd be good. If it's in a flyer format.
1 or 2 pages, Khalid. 1 or 2.
2 pages are fine. We can, you've seen our newsletter, we can, put all that stuff in. So.
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you for bringing that opportunity. Yeah.
And also, I thank you, Mr. Chair, and also, maybe, different languages also,
Yes.
different languages,
Yes.
and,
Is
I don't know if
Spanish
it's
enough?
possible, but, we'll ask if this, presentation, because it's gonna be Earth Day, in a month.
Right.
We'll ask if you can come and present the full board. This affects us all, not just, specifically like us that we're here, whoever is online, but it affects us,
I
all.
know.
So we'll see if we can, bring you back for full board, if not, I guess hopefully this
I
month.
mean, like around Earth Day, something like that.
No, like in 2 weeks, it's full board, and you can present before.
Oh, thank you.
Earth
Thank you
Day.
for that. Thank you for the offer.
We'll ask, the chair if it's something that we can do, we
Yeah.
can push forward.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Schuler, you had a question?
A question, how could we begin to make these a public service announcements on the importance of, or the inclusion of food and separating food, that people can get an understanding what that means in a general sense. I mean, I get a call from WEAC almost every 10 weeks.
So you're suggesting we act.
No, I'm saying making these community, we have a challenge on getting regular community residents to be aware of so many things.
I know.
So many things. This is when we talking about the environment, that impacts everybody. So we're talking about information this is useful information, at least for me today. When you talk about food, we talk about the metals and the plastics. But we are talking about in general, people don't know based on practice and habits of throwing their food away because they don't know the relative importance of it. Khalid had a very important question. I was scrambling my brain with that when we talk about if food collection would be as big as a country, what are we talking about here? So the easiest thing for us to do is when we separate our food that we no longer want to eat, just throw it in the garbage.
I know.
We talk about a metropolis like New York City and urban centers where all that plastic bins, we have buildings 25, 30 stories high. So who's actually practicing that? We do what's most convenient.
Yeah.
Throw it out, somebody else's job. So we get an understanding, we had major public service announcements where people begin to think about, oh, I'm not supposed to do this because I'm aware of it. Just like our children know how to use a computer before they know how to read. They can understand because of the graphics, what we're supposed to be doing. So we become from each central home to a building to understand what we're supposed to do. We throw garbage in the street, so we fix that.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, we act because you're out there. Like I said, I'm not being harassed by you, but I get a whole lot of calls.
I can partially answer, and then we have an actual WEAC member here. On behalf of the SWAB, I have posted different announcements on the Link NYC panels around uptown. I don't know if that's useful, or if people actually notice.
Link
but
kiosks.
that's-
Okay.
Yeah, the kiosk.
That's good.
And then I think, yeah.
We have working groups. We also mentioned, every, different meeting, our membership meetings, we go over different items, different things. So it's always an upcoming, subject for us. So if you don't catch it this month, you'll probably catch it next month, whether it's in a working group, whether it's in a membership meeting, whether it's a different workshop. So if that's something that's interesting to you, always check our website.
And I think, one second, sorry, he had his hand up, but just
Okay, I just
acknowledge, no.
kind of piggyback on this, and I had a question slash concern, like, how's this really gonna get adopted by people that live in their apartments? Because I have a garbage can, I have a can for paper, I have a can for cans and plastics and metals. And now I need another can or container for food, and that's four for one apartment. And so every apartment is supposed to have 4 cans, like, it's a lot to ask people just to get them to recycle. Like, I know in my building, I'm one of the few people who probably recycles. And so, thinking about myself, am I realistically like gonna go home tomorrow and start doing the food scraps? Probably not. But will I be on honest? I mean, but will I start to think about it maybe in the future? Like, you know what, maybe if I can find a way, maybe I'll be more thoughtful about, separating something out here and there. But there's gonna be a real, I think, there's gonna be a challenge to get people to do this in the city, especially.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, maybe I think there's a way to encourage people some way, or incentivize people, or incentivize landlords or somebody to adopt this in a way where, like, it's a team effort and it's not a hardship for them, it's easy. I don't know what you guys can think of, but
Right.
that's just one of the things I thought about. I was like, another can in my kitchen. That's 4, like, that's a
Put
lot.
in your refrigerator or freezer.
Mr. Chavez, and then, can they come?
So this is what I was talking about, awareness. He understands that at least in his apartment, I'm supposed to put my food somewhere. I'm saying, what is the reach of we at? You started in the neighborhood that you started in when you started.
Like part of Harlem, West Harlem.
And what is your reach?
The North of Manhattan, and we're starting.
Okay. Is this a global problem? Is it a citywide problem? That's what I'm saying. How does we act with the power that you have with Ms. Shepherd? How do you say we need to be able to begin and the work that we do? We need to be having public service announcements about awareness so the public can hear this. Not just what you're doing is with your capacity on the ground, going to community boards, 12 community boards in Manhattan. So that would be your target area. So in the Bronx is not important.
Oh, it is?
Yes, it is. That's what I'm saying. So I'm saying, how could we act? Would we act? How could you extend yourselves or probably a different business model, extended business model to become public service announcements where we can begin it? With EP, what is it? All the other types of agencies that are here. How do we incorporate that? We talk about the park department. This is a park committee.
Yeah.
We just talking about how do we get all the garbage in the parks into a can.
Right.
We don't care where it goes. No, it's not on the streets. In the park, so Ben and Willard won't be coming out to hang out. You know Ben and Willard are right.
Sorry?
You know Ben and Willard are right. That those are rats. Rats with names. They had movies when we were younger. So we're talking about awareness where we at. If you can get that to your group to say, damn, somebody said, perhaps this is important enough to put it in public service announcement with other institutions, Environmental Protection Agency and all those, say, we gotta begin to know that our food waste are important. Our food waste is more important than other waste because the carbon carbon dioxide is worse.
Right.
But we're not aware of that. I wasn't aware of that till like a half an hour.
Can we exchange contact information? I think you had a lot of great feedback that we can help expand it.
How much?
You had.
What's your contact?
No, I thought they said he was gonna pay for it.
One second. Wait 1 second, please.
We can do that. Let's.
I'm
seriously.
gonna bring my little boom, boom, boom.
But that's what it is. I think people we have to work together. You're doing your effort. You're bringing information. We collect information and we disseminate it. We want to be effective in what we do as well. And I know we have an information overload for our communities, all the things they have to do. We talked, you saw the presentation before this. We definitely have been on it. So this is what we're doing. We can exchange numbers.
Yes, Connie?
So I think what's really important for anyone presenting at this committee or any other committee, when you come to a committee of a community board, you are speaking to a very small handful of people. You are in no way reaching that community. Boots on the ground. tabling at events, like the Earth Day event. There's Earth Day events all over the cities. Boots on the ground, go to people where they are. Telling people to go to your website or to your meeting is, you're not getting your message out. You need to, boots on the ground, go to the people, particularly in a community like East Harlem, where you have the lowest access to the internet and some of the worst internet connections in the entire city, right? So the technologies that you all have become used to, that you put together a very nice presentation. I think you need to bring that presentation to the schools. I think you need to bring that presentation to the community centers. We have more NYCHA complexes in East Harlem than any other
Oh, I know.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
Every single one has a community room that you can present at.
With no composting.
Well, here's the thing, you know, composting is no longer, it's a mandatory thing. It's not a like, oh, do it because it's good for the environment. It's a mandatory thing. I do it, my entire building does it, my entire neighborhood does it. I live on a street that is compliant with the city. And there is an end date where the city will start giving tickets if you're not doing it. So if your building's not doing it, if yours isn't doing it, keeping composting in your house is a teeny tiny little bag. And I keep mine in the freezer. Mine is in a compostable bag, and I find that the easiest way to handle
Whatever
it.
is easy.
But the presentation you gave us is like preaching to the choir. I think you need to go to the people.
Okay, to respond to you, we intended to get your ideas about
Right.
how to reach more people. And you were tremendously helpful in that regard. And we do tabling in different community events. And I did ask, was that the Jackie Robinson event?
Right.
That I'd like to go to. And, we have presentations about food, about plastics and so forth.
Right, so I'm gonna also invite you to the Manhattan High School's President's Council. So we are a group of parent leaders that work directly with the superintendent, the 7 high school superintendents in Manhattan, like all from Lower East Side all the way to Washington Heights. And they all come to my meeting because I am the president. And it's on March 24th at 7 p.m. I will connect with you via email because I do have it.
You should.
Yeah, I do have it.
Yeah, so
I remember,
you're included.
and it is March 24th at 7 p.m. I'm putting you on the agenda tonight,
Oh,
just
thank
letting you know.
Joyce and Danielle.
Joyce and Danielle.
Don't forget Danielle.
Oh, and the schools, they do block parties throughout the summer. You might be interested in tabling. for
That's
them
why
as well.
I'm going to connect you
Yeah.
because when we have
Oh,
our
that's
back to
amazing.
school, in September, you should table and have a lot of,
Oh, I'm so
information out
excited.
there. And with that, last question.
Yeah, it's not really a question, this is more of like a comment, suggestion, with stuff. With something like this, it needs a lot of attention. And, to Connie's, Russell's, and mostly everybody's point, to get the word out there, it has to be a city issue. And what it's kind of is, but, the commercials, when you reach out to the city, it's trying to get to the city for them to put their dollars behind it. It's sort of like in the beginning when they was doing the dog thing, where they didn't want dogs to, use the bathroom everywhere, and they wanted people to, curb their dogs. They put a lot of resources and stuff out there in order for them to do that, right? In order for us to correct the city, right? And then to Rosa's point, it's about learning from here. So when they taught young, it'll be able to evolve with them later. The older people, it takes a little bit harder or longer because they already have, I wanna say like the system, like, and I'm only talking about the people that doesn't care about it. But when you get this information from ground up, and then your parents start teaching you, it's a habit that's already so. I'm with her on what she's saying, but I'm also like, it has to be something public, a public push for it, so that not only that the young kids know, but their parents are teaching them. And it's like a habit for the community. Wow, oh, this is regular. I just wanted y'all to, let's just say.
Okay, so we have another presentation.
I just wanna make one comment. So when you wanna go places, if it's in the public and people hear about it, so when you show up, they can say, aha, I heard about that already. As opposed to you coming to them and trying to introduce something to them. It's something they're familiar with, now you can make contact with.
Absolutely, and we will also include you in the Earth Day, just like Elise said. Samantha wrote it for me in a little paper. I'm like, absolutely, they already in my head. With that being said, thank you so much, Joyce and Daniela. And we will move to WEAC.
So I only need like 3 minutes, I'll keep it real short.
Let me tell you.
I don't know where to stand.
You stand over here for the camera so they can see you beautiful face.
I won't. I don't put it.
Just don't get too close to Khalid.
Like this behind his back, right?
Oh, that is very good.
Yeah, you can send.
I'm Marcia Alvarado. I'm the new community organizer for We Act. We focus on clean air, climate justice, healthy homes, sustainable land use, affordable, equitable transit use, open and green spaces, waste, pesticide reduction, toxic-free products, food justice, and water qualities. We also have multiple working groups, and they usually meet virtually. We're trying to have some hybrid, but we'll see how that goes. We Act is trying to uplift the New York Heat Act. It is to end the 100-foot rule, which forces New Yorkers to pay $200 million every year to subsidize unnecessary new gas hookups and amend obligations to serve, allowing utilities to provide cheaper and cleaner energy alternatives at no additional cost to customers. This legislation will also cap home energy bills at 6% of household income, because energy bills are crazy right now. I'm speaking from experience. We are also trying to uplift the New York State Beauty Justice Act, also known as the Personal Care and Cosmetic Act, which would ban the most dangerous toxic chemicals from the majority of personal care and cosmetic products sold in the state. This would significantly reduce the adverse health impact of exposure to these toxic chemicals. Specifically to parks, We Act and NYLCB are partnering to uplift the issues and current conditions of our parks in Northern Manhattan. We want to engage, educate, and organize community members in Northern Manhattan on how New York City policy and budget processes impact their parks, and how parks and on an open space serve a vital role to not only address the impacts of climate change, but make their neighborhoods safer, cleaner, and more resilient. We are planning events and workshops to engage the community on their park concerns and uplift the advocacy around park funding. So keep a lookout on those events. We'll be posting it on weact.org/events. Please join us this Saturday on our membership meetings. Everybody is welcome. It doesn't, I know it says membership. People think you have to be part of We Act. We welcome everyone. We had Spanish translation. This meeting will be about women's and it's from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
No push-ups.
Thank you.
Oh, the location.
Oh, yeah, it's a Boricua College, 155th and Broadway. Yeah,
That's-
I want to add that I went
that's
with
We Act.
We
Oh,
Act
this is my
to
first.
lobby for the Heat Act for all the guests. And we were all wearing shirts. And as we walked by, people were cheering, yeah.
It's Wednesday.
We have lobby training, we have a game, so we have a lot of exciting things.
Awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Any question from board members? No, good. Any question from non-board members? The presentations are closed. We are going to our own business. 2025 Earth Day
So
celebration.
they have to stay in for that. Tell them they have to stay for Earth Day celebration. Tell them.
They're all invited. Everyone is invited to Earth Day. I will be sending emails. What's today? Tomorrow, tomorrow with the invitation. Please confirm by March, no, not.
Or
the-
table.
It's either for tabler or presentation, because March 28th, I think it was.
21st.
21st, thank you so much.
And you're gonna send me information about
We want
maybe
you-
5 events.
We want you, seriously, we want you to pay attention to what we're doing now, because it's relative to what you're doing.
We do it together.
No, I mean, I want you, we said we want you to pay attention to what we're doing. You're
The
the
next
council.
thing on our agenda, he wants you to listen.
Yeah, see, could y'all sit down and listen to our
Oh,
agenda?
we have finished?
No.
No.
Oh, no, the presentations are done. We still have work.
Joyce, you are free to go, but we're discussing logistics and planning for the Earth Day 2025 conference.
And you should be, it should be,
And you
this
want
is
to-
important to you.
Oh, I should listen? Okay.
Yes.
We will definitely also send information tomorrow.
Thank you.
An invitation for you to either table or just come to do a presentation. I'm not sure if we're gonna have like a screen, but that would be great. That's another thing that we should.
I know, the screen is problematic. Yeah, I don't have technology.
So what I would ask, for our, the information is so impressive and important, how could you make a concise presentation as an introductory to the population that we're having? They
You
need
talking
to-
about WEAC or Manhattan
No,
Solid
no,
Waste?
Him, we're all
Swap.
combined, they together. They're together. So
Yeah.
whatever y'all can do, if we can incorporate some of your
That-
programming into what we're doing, that's important.
Right.
Let's just see how we can fit that.
This year is our neighborhood, our planet, our power theme.
So let's give them just a little bit of a
Yeah.
overview. So we do an annual Earth Day event. This year, we're hosting it at El Museo del Barrio on the front terrace and in the adjacent cafe area, which is not open on that particular day. So we're doing it on Earth Day. And people are like We Act and your organization, I always forget the
Manhattan Swap.
Manhattan
That's the
Swap,
other one.
are invited to table at that event. Now, this is public facing and this is where you would reach a lot more people.
Sure.
You also have the option, there will be presentations. If you prefer, you can do a presentation. We haven't worked out the logistics of where the presentations are gonna take place. We'll know after we meet with Cynthia next week. But that will be an option to do a presentation. Is there a time limit on the presentations?
So we would think like 10-minute presentation and 5 minutes just in case if anyone has any questions,
I don't think,
because we have. Yes,
I think it's a shorter time, I think it was. Because of our event, like things are gonna, I can't remember the exact time, but let's
that's
just get
what I'm
back to
saying.
them.
every 15 minutes, we had something. So we
Yeah, we looked
allocated,
at the timeline.
yeah. 10 minutes for presentation and 5 minutes for Q&A. That's how, we did it, yeah, but it took a little longer sometimes.
Yeah.
That's why,
We will,
How many presenters there are?
that's why I said, let's get back to them on the time, so that we
Right.
know what we have,
Right.
then we can allocate it. Because our timeline last year is maybe different from this year, depending on what we have.
right, that soon. Yeah, cause, and we had a couple of minus hiccups where people were like, oh, yes, we're coming, no, we're not coming. You know what I mean? So we want, organizations that like really confirm, so we can allocate time for everyone.
I think the tabling is actually for what you're doing and for disseminating information. People respond to information when they have a one-on-one back and forth. So tabling is, I think, actually more effective. I would do the presentation, but you know, a table is an opportunity for people to walk away with a piece of paper.
And maybe like bring what is composting and what is not, you know, like plastic, this is not, you know what I mean? Like, Cause you'll be surprised, I've seen people trying to do composting, but they use the regular bag. So it's like you're really not composting now, you're just creating more garbage, you know what I mean? So.
I got composting down.
No
No.
comment,
No.
but that's what I'm saying, okay.
But I will also, go, back to, this is a mandatory thing.
Joyce, are you also involved with NYC Grow? They also have like a composting component to their, you should work with them.
I know,
Or
yes,
grow in
I've
my-
been in touch with them.
Okay, good, perfect.
It was challenged to their funding, but I think, my city councilman worked to get the money.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, funding is truly necessary.
I just think what you're doing is important to give people information, and it's on them how they act on it.
Right, the awareness, especially like, right now you have like 6 members, right, but for full board, you have 50 members plus anyone from, the public. That, and then elected officials, you have elected officials that you can directly, I mean, I don't know if they're gonna come in person, but you'll definitely have their ears, hopefully via Zoom, that they'll, hopefully are interested in.
Work, yeah, we actually we were working with, Jewel Jones.
Yes.
Of course, she's a board
To
member.
have a meeting with the councilwoman from this area.
Oh, Diana.
Yeah.
Did you have the meeting?
We met with her. But
Yes.
we were actually talking about waste inequity. Because there's tremendous examples of how there's much better service south of us here than here. And she was surprised at the extent of the inequity that we shared with her.
What was the outcome? Is there any follow-up?
She
Is
knows,
something
yeah,
gonna
I hope
happen?
that she will fight for it. I mean, where? Yeah.
There was no follow-up? There was.
No, I mean, maybe Jewel, I think Jewel tried to reach her. I don't know what the result was.
All right, let's get back to our.
Yeah,
We have that.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds interesting, but again, you'll have per year also
Yeah.
on full board and, hopefully we can
All I wanna do is let them know we be in contact with them, they're aware of it, so we can.
expect the email
Let them know.
tomorrow,
What is the date?
April 22nd on Earth Day.
Okay,
Which
that's
is a
Thursday.
Tuesday
But you also said
on
the full
Earth.
board meeting is when?
Full board is in 2 weeks,
25th.
the 25th,
March.
March 25th at 6:30. I don't know
And
where it's gonna be.
It'll be on our calendar. I don't know.
On the 22nd, you'll be talking to a population that'll use your information. On the 25th, you'll be giving information to people to get some other people.
Yeah, we'll send it to you via email.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we are gonna, some of us, whoever's able to come in on Tuesday, to el Museo del Barrio at 9 AM. Please let me
This
know.
Tuesday?
This
You doing it?
Tuesday.
Okay.
So that's what Cynthia said, Tuesday at 9 AM.
I'm gonna try to come, I'm probably gonna be, I just set up a meeting. I can try to change it to Wednesday, but, I gotta remind myself tomorrow.
I will remind you tomorrow to change it.
But, I mean, it ain't gonna be that quick, I mean, it's not gonna be long. So I could probably still like make it there, but I'll see.
Yeah, cause they wanna know like who's coming, you know what I mean?
No, I got you, I wanted to come, I mean, I want to be there, I want to.
No, it's like a tour of, like.
Tour, informal.
It's like
How,
30
like, where's
minutes.
everything gonna be, maybe the table, how many tables would I need?
I have a 10 AM, so I think I can.
Yeah, come on, I'm gonna show up there at 8:30 and
No,
wait for
I only need
everyone.
you there for a few minutes, so you can be there, so you can tell me what was there before. That's all I need you there.
It's just a different area,
That's all.
it's a different place.
It's a much smaller terrace
Yeah,
than,
I was about to
than
say-
previous.
It's a lower terrace, but
It's also much smaller.
yeah,
I went and looked at both terraces just the other day.
Yeah,
And it's considerably smaller than
the museum.
the Museum of the City of New York. But there is the space where the cafe used to be. And we looked inside and there's nothing in there. And I think Cynthia even mentioned you can also have that
Utilize
space.
that.
So you have sort of an indoor-outdoor space, and actually the cafe space would probably be great for the presentations.
Can we use, well, we gotta ask her then.
Yeah.
Right, that's what I'm
If we
saying,
could
when we
use
go there on
that
Tuesday.
entrance, because sometimes, with that, when you outside, you can't use that specific entrance, you still have to go through like the metal detectors and stuff like that. So it would be hard for us to like go in and out, like, it wouldn't be like.
So I was at an event there where they used the
Right,
terrace and the cafe, and they had the cafe doors open.
both of them,
Okay.
yeah.
Because the museum is not open.
At
And,
that time,
it's not even open on Tuesdays.
okay,
So it's almost like no real reason, as long as the weather's good, for us to go inside the museum. We can just go. But we'll talk to Cynthia about that.
Yeah, on logistics, how many tables and where they're gonna be, the
Yeah.
mic, the speaker, and maybe
Yes, ma'am.
right, that's what, maybe like a smart, if anything.
That's why the cafe might work better for the equipment, podium, electronics, screen, all that, because you have, more space.
Right, then.
Yeah.
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 Let's see who's there
So-
working on that day that is able to
Yeah.
help us with.
Question that I have is, what is the potential of getting a permit to use the sidewalk as well?
So you have to file
Permit.
a permit through the street activity permit office to
Mhm.
occupy.
I've done that before.
By
I don't know if we have enough time.
it should take only a month. No,
You need 60 days in advance.
oh, 60, not a month.
Yeah,
Okay.
and if you're doing it and if you look at the options where you can ask for an even shorter time frame, it's like thousands of dollars. So,
Yeah, so it's not worthwhile.
But
Not a private entity.
I'm sorry?
Even if it's like community board requesting it, not a private entity.
No, we don't have that kind of.
All right, can't make a phone call?
You can definitely try, but if you look at the protocol on there, it's pretty clear in terms of how much it costs.
Yeah.
Because it's, usually you have a bunch of other operations that have to occur, they have to check for like insurance and.
Liability.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get into it.
Yeah, okay, fair.
Okay.
I have one question.
Of course.
Last month's meeting, you mentioned that Museo del Barrio was hosting and there was a cost to them of $1,500.
Yes,
Are
1,500.
they still looking for some help in terms of offsetting some of that cost? We were just thinking, because Nicholas and I want to go to Earth Day, if on behalf of Civitas, you could donate to El Barrio.
Or not the whole thing, but we
With a portion.
Any amount.
we spoke about this to the rest of our board and asked if made something to Museo del Barrio for this event. And they gave us the approval,
Please join
as
on
long as
Tuesday
it's
at
reasonable.
9 AM if possible.
That's right.
But they said as long as it's reasonable, then it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, Cynthia said anything, it doesn't have to be like 1,500, but
Yeah.
they have some cost.
Yeah,
And I'm like, I'll put it out of my pocket, you know what I mean? But your option is so much better than mine.
So
But if you're able to join on Tuesday,
to get you guys like $250 or something like that.
that's
So
totally
it's not-
acceptable.
of course, I mean,
Yeah, and can you ask, Youth and Education Committee? If they are gonna contribute, they did last year?
So I don't think so.
I mean, on Tuesday. Next week.
From what I remember, I believe that youth and education, we want to do our own event. If that's not with, I believe Asher and David wanted to go, we can re-ask.
right, because I
Sure.
remember,
That deadline for that event is coming up really quick.
Okay, so on Tuesday, we can ask.
I remember that was at, like literally every single meeting of youth and education anyways, and I remember she said, well, it may not happen, but we're still gonna plan and plan and plan.
Yeah.
So I'll show up on Tuesday and ask about the request that.
Well, we also kept talking about, the young people presenting. If they're doing their own event, then they're not presenting at our event. So we need to clarify with youth and education if
Why
they're.
wouldn't,
No,
why
no,
wouldn't
that's
they
two different
present?
things.
Why wouldn't they present at our event?
I just remember when Asher was here, she was saying something like it was too chaotic last year and was sort of down on the idea of the.
No, I think there was some, like time constraint. Other than that, he was okay with everything, but.
I think we need to clarify. Yeah, I think
No,
it's good to clarify.
I'm able to connect with the schools directly.
Okay.
And also, like, I want everything confirmed. I don't wanna have any hiccups, last minute hiccups,
I'm saying this more as another committee on the same community board. We should have a more cohesive conversation, a more collaborative conversation with that committee. It seems to be a lot of like, you guys overhear something here, I overheard something there, and it's like, just needs to be.
All right, with that regards, okay, yeah, I'm gonna join anyways on Tuesdays, because I also present on Tuesdays, for Manhattan High School. Hopefully I am on the agenda this time. So, yeah.
Yeah, let's just clarify so that we.
Yeah, I'll ask on Tuesday for the money. Everybody in favor?
No, I'm not talking about the money, I'm talking clarifying about participation.
Two different. Both, she's talking about both.
Yeah.
Money and.
So, but more than,
Yeah, ask for both. You can inquire for both.
yeah,
Inquire about the youth and education participation, and does the youth and education committee intend to use their funds before the fiscal year ends up? If they don't, would they be interested in using their funds
You
for?
have two of their members right here at the table.
Exactly, so why are you
No,
guys?
why y'all making a fuss over it?
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. We gonna-
Both members are gonna be there in person and are gonna talk on behalf of the environmental space.
We talking
Done.
about how do we
Check mark.
make an impact in both events in the best possible way. In a cohesive way,
Yes.
in a collaborative way, that's what it's
Collaborative.
really.
Get that in my brain.
in an effective way. We get the outcome that we want.
Okay,
Absolutely.
is that it?
Yep, that's it, and
So before we close, can I get a motion to provide a letter of acknowledgement to the parks for their?
oh, yes.
Yeah.
Motion to,
Somebody, you're.
oh, yeah, I forgot the
Right,
motion.
you got a letter for the public art project?
Yes,
Yeah.
provide them a letter of acknowledgement.
I'll make a motion to provide a letter of support. Can we get a letter of support? It would be better for the Public Design Commission.
Second,
So let's, okay, let me just, give me 1 second, let me just write that. Motion's made by Tony Lee. One letter of support.
For the public, so this way they have it for the public design.
Oh, 1 second.
I thought we were done.
Over? Okay. That's right, you're giving us money, I should be nice to you.
no.
Not here to buy.
Now we're gonna lose our money.
That's right, oh, I screwed it all up. I know. Voted off the board tonight.
My time here.
Okay, so.
We need a second?
No, let me just read it out so we all can.
I did that.
A motion was made by Connie Lee to provide a letter of support for the public art piece on Pier 107 Bobby Wagner Walk. To the Public Design Commission, for the Public Design Commission.
Bobby Wagner walk those 13, so they got part.
That's the motion made by Connie, so
Yes, I'm seconding.
you're second.
Everybody say yes, I mean, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Any abstention, any opposed, no, got it.
It's done, right?
Yes, it's done.
Now that's
Then
correct.
in the future, let's try to maintain our,
Look at those stuff.
let's try to maintain, the way we go about, because,
All right, no, yeah.
the way we go about,
doing
I'm trying to get it out there, just get this up.
the procedure when it comes to letter of support?
Correct.
Okay,
Right.
so
Right.
we'll craft this letter and it'll be.
No, this motion already passed, I'm just talking
No,
about.
I understand,
Oh.
but this is just a letter of acknowledgement and support.
Yeah, it's a letter of support.
To do a letter of support. You just-
Remember I
Okay,
asked them when they needed it, they're presenting to the Public Design Commission in April. So we don't need it in a minute.
Yeah, but it's after April, when we meet next week,
No, so, if you're supporting, as you just did, if you support this motion today to provide a letter of support, and then the board ratifies it by the 25th, we will have a letter ready after that date, and we can provide it to them in time for April. So yes, we can do that, but I see what.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah, the reason why I'd asked them about the timeline to the Public Design Commission is you don't want the design of the pier, which this is part of, to be slowed down because they didn't have a letter of support.
And also they did present before
Last year.
to us because
Yeah.
I remember they came in here in person, they presented and all that, so it's not like new to us.
No.
Well, they did make quite a few changes. But you know, they're doing a good job.
Right, if there are any significant changes, like they're putting it at a different location.
No, it's the same, yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes to design,
It is
every change, every little procedure is important
Yes.
to them, and they'll stop their own process.
Mm-hmm. Okey dokey,
Another old business.
No.
I was gonna say, we don't have,
No, we have.
we don't have new business, but we have old business.
Yes. So old business, we had presented to you guys last year and you guys, speaking of letter of support, gave us letter of support for, our initiative back then, which was, reimagining phase 2 for the East River Esplanade. And just for everybody's, reminder here, as we saw tonight, they clearly laid out, they're going from 96 to 107th Street, and then they're stopping, and then they're going restarting from 117th Street to 125th Street, which means from 107 to 118, we've got nothing. And so, we saw this beautiful art presentation. I think it was called the water table, right?
Yes.
And so the water table is gonna be beautiful and it won't, it'll be preserved south of 107th Street. And then the water table is gonna be destroyed from 108th Street north, which is, crazy to think about. But, one section is gonna be elevated by 3 feet, the other section is not, and then it's gonna be elevated again by 3 feet. So I don't know what they were thinking, but that's what we're left with.
So I can tell you, just from all the presentations we had from the Parks Department and the walkthroughs of the site, last year, whenever, but, initially, the Parks Department thought that they were gonna do the work in-house for that smaller section. And it turns out that they probably can't, or
Yeah.
definitely can't, because it's more work than they had originally anticipated. So now there's a budget gap. But we do need to continue to advocate for
And
that.
that's helpful, context. So what I'm getting to is, we would like to come back to you guys, and we'd like to come back to your full board to ask for a letter of support for any funding from the city, for this section of land. It does need money, it needs funding, the EDC needs help, Parks Department needs help. And so we'd like to present to your full board this issue and see if you guys are on board, with us to, seek, as much support and funding for this issue as we can.
I think we'll have to receive you again. I think you have to come to us to get us the support.
We might have done that already, so around that same time, we did also issue a letter of support.
Yeah, we
letter
did.
Requesting for additional funding for a particular gap, but I'm trying to find that letter right now. We post our letters and resolutions on our website, but I myself.
No, I remember we voted on,
Either way, we're gonna want to redraft that letter, because that letter was, it was May of last year, it's stale, we need a new letter. We need to, better, talk about what we're really asking for here. You know, we were referencing a specific plan in that letter. At this point, the city isn't committed to any plan. And so we just need to get them to commit to some dollars for that section.
That's
And-
also before we knew specifically through Parks and EDC that they weren't planning to do anything with that gap. When we had gotten the initial letter, it was for the revitalization of the whole
Right.
section. Now that we really know that there's a part that's not gonna have any attention, I think it'd be important to specify that in the letter.
We'll
I
find
don't
out
think
how
it would
much
be
money
fair.
is
I
gonna be
wouldn't think-
allocated.
I don't think it would be fair to say they weren't planning to do it. The plans they would do were interrupted by some other things.
Yes, when we spoke to them, when they were presenting, they said they did a walkthrough and deemed that they would look to do a renovation of the section. So not to the scale that the rest of the Esplanade would be, but they would renovate it. I think that's.
I'm trying to support you
Yes,
and how to position it where you wanna go now.
Yeah.
Now, we have to talk about what, they know what they were planning to do. The reason why they're not doing it on the park side, everybody else's side, I still think you should revisit us because that was a year ago, different people at
Right.
the table. Get us to commit to being supportive of it, then go to the board. And like you said, it has to be dusted off. And once you do that, you definitely have to come back here. Because we would wanna know what the dust
We
is.
need to find out from Park,
Yeah.
like, structurally what needs to happen there. And, we all get excited about all the design elements and art projects and all this other stuff, but I think the primary issue on that section of the site is structural and it's underwater, and I think that's the bulk of the budget. As is the rest of the project, that's the bulk of the budget.
I mean, I can tell you, what we had planned in the past is definitely aspirational, right? And it's important, right? It's important to be aspirational. It's important to plan for the best because, at the end of the day, they're gonna say, okay, yeah, we'll give it to you. And then you'll land somewhere beneath there and it's good enough and it's still beautiful. It's not gonna be Disneyland, but it's Six Flags. It's good enough. It's still fun, right? Like you're still having a good time over there. And so, that's our methodology of an approach to this. So, we have done like a a breakdown of the budget of what we estimate the cost would be. We're thinking probably around $200 million for that entire stretch. It's a lot of money. So, I don't think our ideas for what we would present to be there have changed too much since last year. I think it's just, we would like to create a cohesive front to start reaching out to these different political actors and asking for money and support. And so, I'll follow your lead on how you think we should best go about this with you guys. Like I said, I would be happy to and would like to present to your full board. If you think I should re-present to you guys first, I'm
You
okay
have-
with that. That's no problem at all.
Yeah, you have to present it here and then, once we make the motion and everything, we'll bring it to full, it automatically will
Okay.
come to full. And then you can come into full or if anyone has any questions on it.
And before that presentation that I present with you guys, would you like me to come with like a draft letter of support kind of thing that I would probably send around to other people?
You can do that. I mean, like I said, we
That I
already
would
have
want you to
that.
sign off.
You can do that if you want us to adopt a new resolution. Like I said, we did already have a letter of support that we issued back in April last year. If you want to take a look at that and then suggest here's where you can make improvements and additions to it, that we're also open to that, but the committee can be open to that.
Great.
And yeah, you don't have to necessarily recreate anything, just what we have already, just build on it, edit it. Right now we have here, I think, you said like 107 to 118th, this letter has 107 to 114th, so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I think Parks really does want to do that section.
We
I
do
think
have them.
we really have to frame it as in a way that is helpful in bringing the money in. I mean, in the same way what was the other 287 or $387 million for the rest of the project? Yeah, so I mean, that was a concerted effort over many years, and it's unfortunate that over all that time, it's not enough to do the entire thing.
Absolutely.
Have advocates for it, it doesn't happen.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much. Okay, we are ready to do roll call.
Rosalie Diaz.
Present.
Present.
Malik McCarthy. Samantha.
Present.
Russell Schiller.
I'm here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Adjourning on
So,
the end.
Send me a reminder for Tuesday.
Yeah,
Yes.
Fred, don't do it either.
Give me everything.